Hello and welcome to Network. My name is Lebogang Sejake, standing in for Siphumelele Zondi. The IAB Digital Summit took place in the last week. We have information on what happened there. Brazilian authorities are asking WhatsApp to release users' data to help them with solve a drug trafficking investigation. We have more on this as well. Our discussion is with Deputy Minister of Telecommunications and Postal Services, Professor Hlengiwe Mkhize, who will tell us whether we can talk the Internet of Things in South Africa, as many people are still not connected to the Internet. Find us on SABC Network, on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. We are on News Network at sabc.co.za on email. Let's start with your technology and social media news. IAB Digital Summit kickstarted their second annual summit in Newtown this past week. This is following the excellent feedback they got from their debut conference last year. Topics like state of digital in SA and how digital can be the dominant medium and more were discussed there.
The IAB Summit held at Turbine Hall in Newtown had various speakers in the digital space, ironing out issues in the industry. Speakers were debating the issues around digital media versus traditional media. They also touched on the accessibility of data and its speed in the country, with many agreeing that the summit is the place to talk about these issues.
This sort of body going and bringing the right people in the room and having a discussion about the issues, the complications, the problems, and trying to resolve it. It's the only way you move industry forward.
The speakers were also focused on the continent, looking at how Africa can take advantage of new technologies. Yaron Asabi says Africa can lead the world with innovations.
We have a need to be connected. The issue is around how do we create interesting business models that get the unconnected connected, what everybody calls is the bottom of the pyramid. I think that's what you're referring to. And I think there's some really interesting things that are happening in Africa which are quite unique, like mobile money, where we, like in the one of the leaders in the world, especially in Kenya with M-Pesa. From an education perspective, sites like Coursera. From an M-Health perspective, there's a lot of innovation. So I think Africa really has an opportunity, as I said earlier, to leapfrog and use technology to deal with a lot of the challenges that we have within the continent.
Some are aware of the growth of smartphones. However, they are concerned that they might not be able to reach audiences using online space because of expensive data cost.
One of the big hindrances to that is the amount of data available to consumers and the price at which that data is being sold. So in a perfect worldview, what we would see is that data prices would come down dramatically, like really, really fast, particularly in South Africa, which has one of the higher data prices in the continent, if not in the world.
Sisters are doing it for themselves in Lesotho. A group of 6 women from the highlands of the country are giving new meaning to girl power. The women who received training in solar engineering in India are installing solar power units into hundreds of homes in the Mountain Kingdom. Take a look.
Tar roads have opened access to many remote parts of Lesotho, but for some, even living in the shadow of internationally recognized sites like Mahaledem has not brought change. But there might be light at the end of the tunnel, courtesy of 6 women in their solar power training.
When
the circuit is damaged, I look at Diota and I repair the equipment.
Manapo Agente is 57. Her only education was primary school. Mama Karapito is 36. She didn't even finish primary school. Now they're installing solar power systems for lighting and charging electronic devices.
I will repair many things. Then I will get money.
The men of Harangkong are also seeing the light.
All my life, I've believed that for one to be an engineer, they have to go to a tertiary institution. Well, that theory has been blown out of the water by simple ladies from a rural village in Lesotho. Ntakwana Ngatani, SABC News, Harangkong in Lesotho.
It seems that government wars with technology companies are intensifying. As if the Apple data saga is not enough, now Brazil has also jumped onto the bandwagon of governments trying to get companies to provide them with users' personal data to solve crimes.
Brazilian police arrested a senior Facebook executive on Tuesday. This after a dispute escalated over a court's demand that the company provide data from its WhatsApp messaging service to help in a secretive drug trafficking investigation. Court officials confirmed that a judge had ordered the jailing of Facebook Vice President for Latin America, Diego Zoda. Law enforcement officials withheld further information about the nature of their request to the messaging service that Facebook acquired in 2014, saying that doing so could compromise an ongoing criminal investigation. The arrest, which Facebook called an extreme and disproportionate measure, came as social media and internet companies face mounting pressure from governments around the world to help them eavesdrop on users and filter content. Digital rights activist in Brazil, Patricia Pick, says a judge's decision should have the same weight.
A judge's order has the same value, be it phone confidentiality, text confidentiality, or technological confidentiality. Disobeying this judicial order puts the morality and authority of this public institution in check.
Arrests of officials from social media companies are extremely rare, though not unprecedented, because the companies typically comply with local court orders, especially from countries where they have branch offices. While details of the case remain murky, court officials said the judge in Brazil resorted to the arrest after issuing a fine of $250,000 to compel Facebook to help investigators access WhatsApp messages relevant to their drug trafficking investigation. Pig says the law in Brazil is clear regarding the obstruction of justice in a criminal case.
It's not excessive to detain an executive which obstruct the presentation of evidence which could help bring justice.
The Facebook arrest comes as Apple Inc. finds itself at odds with the United States government on similar ground. U.S. prosecutors want the company to build a software tool to help investigators unlock the iPhone used by one of the shooters in the San Bernardino attacks. Apple has refused, saying it would set a dangerous precedent that would make its customers vulnerable to spying.
FIFA welcomes what they deem as a historic decision for allowing the use of video technology in soccer matches, and a man becomes an online sensation for flying through the streets of Taipei in Taiwan on what looks like a cloud. These are some of the things that took place in the rest of the tech world. Soccer's lawmakers gave the green light on Saturday to the use of video technology to aid referees in live broadcast matches starting no later than the 2017 and 18th season.
I mean, this is a big change, the big test that we are doing here, and we have to be very, very careful when it comes to protecting the game of football. And the flow of the game of football is crucial, and we have to see what kind of impact technology and video technology in particular will have on the flow of the game, which we can never put in danger. But in order to be able to have a serious discussion about these matters, we need to test it.
Now off to the US of A. Amazon Inc. on Thursday introduced 2 new gadgets similar to its voice-controlled Echo speaker, which can be used to check the weather, order pizza, or hail an Uber cab. Amazon Tap, a portable speaker that streams music, sells for almost $130. The Echo Dot is a hockey puck-shaped device that responds to prompts to control smart appliances and connects to external speakers.
Lots of customers that have ordered Echoes and used Echoes have told us that portability was a big use case. They want to take it on the go. And so Amazon Tap allows customers to take an Alexa endpoint and use it. It's completely battery powered. It gives you up to 9 hours of battery life when playing music. And you just tap it, and then when you're in a Wi-Fi environment, you then have immediate access to Alexa.
For now, Echo Dot is only available to Amazon Prime members who already have the original Echo device and Amazon's Fire TV set-top box. The original Echo, launched in 2014, is larger and cannot connect to external speakers. And now we head to Asia. Popular anime series Dragon Ball Z came alive in the streets of Taipei in Taiwan earlier this week. This Taiwanese filmmaker Ye Kung became an online sensation after turning a Segway into the famous cloud Kinton-un used by Akira Toriyama's Dragon Ball character Son Goku.
In order to make this Segway look like a real cloud, we had to wrap it very tightly so that even the wheels become invisible. This is why we use 4 big pieces to stick them together. Styrofoam and the exterior is cotton. 4 big pieces stuck together to make one cloud that can hide the wheels. So I think it looks quite magical and funny.
In a country where Japanese manga and anime are hugely popular, Ye Kung's video has already been watched more than 1.2 million times on YouTube and almost 3 million times on Facebook since it was published in early February. In a country where Japanese manga and anime are hugely popular, Ye Kung's video has already been watched more than 1.2 million times on YouTube and almost 3 million times on Facebook since it was published in early February. After the break, we will be talking all things internet with Deputy Minister Professor Hlengiwe Mkhize. Remember to find us on SABC Network on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
How great would it be to have Sia back for this reunion?
He's been traveling Africa for years. He's impossible to get a hold of.
We know what he drinks.
Let's find him.
Yeah!
You think it worked?
Hey, guys!
I'm coming home, tell the world that I'm coming home.
It all comes together with a castle.
Welcome back to Network. Now, the issue of net neutrality and the Internet of Things can be a contentious one in Africa. This is because most Africans don't have internet access, but the number of Africans with internet access is increasing. For example, in Mozambique, there was one internet service provider when in the 1990s ended, but there are about 20 today. This shows that the demand is high. South Africa recently rolled out free Wi-Fi to 32 areas in the Western Cape.
Because we don't have internet access, 35% of people in this country who have internet access, which is not good. However, 89% of the population in this country have got access to a cell phone. Okay? It's 89% who have access to a cell phone.
Joining us in studio to talk about all these issues is South Africa's Deputy Minister for Telecommunications and Postal Services, Professor Hlengiwe Mkhize. Hello and welcome to Network, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you. Good evening to the listeners.
Thanks. Deputy Minister, there are buzzwords like the Internet of Things and net neutrality that are being thrown around a lot. Is Africa ready to talk about such topics?
Well, I think maybe starting with our own government, we've been hard at work to implement our policy, which is South Africa Connect policy, which really talks to the importance of ensuring that it's not only people in big cities who are able to work online, but also people in our rural areas. And there has been budget put forward by government to connect first critical or key government offices like education, health, the police, the municipalities. And of course, in the private sector, there are quite a number of companies who are focusing on internet.
Okay. You recently returned from the Mobile World Congress. So what were other African ministers saying about the rollout of internet and the growth of technology in the rest of the continent?
Well, we had one round table where a minister from Rwanda and Nigeria participated, and I also joined the team. And really, we are all in agreement in terms of saying we have reached a point where each and every country to move forward in terms of our sustainable development goals, we have to advance in terms of deployment of ICTs, information communication technologies. So we, right up to the AU, there are huge commitments in terms of what should be done and the targets that have been set.
So, ma'am, you have also embarked on a new project recently, the rollout of Wi-Fi. Can you please tell us more about that?
Yeah, I mentioned the broadband rollout, and I've mentioned that sometimes, I don't know whether I told you that, sometimes other companies, they provide satellites to the most remote areas. We have our own state-owned agency, the Centec, but also government is deploying as much hotspots of Wi-Fi as possible, mainly because really, it's all about how do we make use of technology to deal with the triple challenge: inequality, the question of jobs, and for our young people, the question of skills. Because once they have access to these hot Wi-Fi spots, then they can do their homework when they're there, whether it's in a sports ground or just in a supermarket or in a village. And so we are doing all this to create what we're discussing in the World Congress: smart villages and smart cities. In other words, we target the basic needs of all communities, like transport and logistics, energy, health, education, to say, how do we deploy these technologies in such a way that people access them with ease and they help them to improve the quality of life? For instance, in the question of energy, we were having discussions around how the technology can help you to monitor the usage and be able to stop when you think you are reaching a point where you could be charged a lot more, and also not to wait for the time when they cut you off, and then I have to pay a fine because my water, my electricity was stopped. So really, technology is meant to improve the quality of life and to ensure that almost everybody is able to engage and be connected.
Now, on these projects that you talk about, last year at the Africa Com Conference in Cape Town, you spoke in a panel about Vision 2020, which aims at connecting all, or if not most, South Africans to the internet. Now, where are the plans thereof, or how far are you guys with Vision 2020, and what is going on there?
I think we are moving very fast. As I've said that, with question of networks, access to internet, as South Africa, it has grown in the hands of the private sector, mainly because of their business interest. And of course, government has to be vigilant and ensure that those who are outside are connected. And now we're talking about the question of data, as you are talking about net neutrality. In other countries, they want to have preferential data routes for certain people, service providers. But with us, we're still on the agenda of socio-economic transformation, so that we have these open networks and we use them as a vehicle for bringing closer for connecting youth and many other people, like rural people and women.
Okay.
On board.
Thank you so much, Deputy Minister. This is it from Deputy Minister Hlengiwe Mkhize. It was such a pleasure having you on our network. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. After the break, we catch up with we caught up with Katlego Maboi. He presents the Express Breakfast Show on SABC 3. Katlego told us what his favorite piece of technology is.
It's my feel-good breakfast show.
I am Katlego Maboi. I am the host of Espresso Morning Show on SABC 3. And if you had to ask me what my favorite gadget is, it would have to be my Xbox, because I spend a lot of time in the lonely hours with my Xbox playing FIFA.
Well, there you have it. If science and technology are your things, then head on over to the SciFest Africa Festival that's taking place in Grahamstown. It starts off today and goes through all the way until the 8th of March.
Kahika Manor produces abstract and symbolic works of art. He called his latest collection Vote with Ink, Not Blood.
Praying for peace, literally, in my own way.
The South African film titled Luister or Listen in Afrikaans tackles issues of race in the country.
I think that the end goal is the reformation of institutional culture, but how we get there is in fact through changing the language policy so that no student is forced to learn in Afrikaans.
It's fashion designers like Julia Mpoko who are starting to pay more attention to menswear and hope to make a mark in the fashion industry.
So regardless of whether you're African, European, there's certain styles that you like. So if an African man enjoys wearing simple, well-tailored pants, then yes, I guess.
Join Refulo Mula for that 1 hour weekly dose of arts and entertainment news every Friday at 9 p.m. on Trends.
President Zuma's State of the Nation address, as well as Generations actor Rapulana Seipemo's car accident, was some of the most Googled topics in the month of February. Let's look at what else topped the Google charts in that month. February was an eventful month in South Africa. The annual State of the Nation address attracted a lot of attention with some 22 search terms in the SONA cluster, from Zoopta Must Fall to EFF, SONA 2016 and State of the Nation address 2016 time. When they are not paying attention to politics, South Africans are a romantic bunch. Valentine's Day searches formed 4 clusters with people searching for Valentine's Day Messages, Valentine's Day quotes, and Happy Valentine's Day, amongst other search terms. The Grammys were also a big hit on last month's most searched. The award event cluster featured 13 search terms, which included Grammy winners 2016, Kendrick Lamar and Taylor Swift, to name a few. The earth tremor in Durban resulted in a lot of searches, along with Generations actor Rapulana Seipemo's car accident. The launch of the Samsung Galaxy S7 at this year's Mobile World Congress attracted a lot of interest. On the sports front, the Arsenal-Barcelona match merited a search cluster of its own, as did the Chelsea-PSG game and Super Bowl 50. Now let's see what people have been sharing on social media.
This was a sports-filled weekend, and people made sure to go into their social media pages to share how they felt about the loss or the winning of their favorite teams. Orlando Pirates fans took to Twitter to express their joy for the victory over the Kaizer Chiefs at the Soto Derby yesterday. And the Blitzbokke team posted their picture depicting how they were ready for the Las Vegas 7 games as they prepared to knock out New Zealand out of the games. There was no lack of support for the guys on Twitter and Facebook as they beamed with support. Kagiso Rabada's catch for the Proteas match against Bangladesh in cricket was revered by fans on social media as it seemed impossible a catch to make, but he made it nonetheless. As South Africa gets ready for the local elections, people shared pictures of themselves getting ready at the IEC stations across the country. This picture of President Zuma also made rounds on social media today.
Now that's it from us this week. Siphumelelo Zondi will be back to host the show next Sunday. Remember to email us on network@sabc.co.za and catch us on SABC Network on Twitter, Facebook and Instagram. We leave you with a video of a young Taiwanese filmmaker flying through the city on what looks like a cloud. The young lad is also dressed as a Dragon Ball Z character, Goku. From me and the rest of the network team, good night.
Fly away, fly away. 体中に広がるパノラマ。かを蹴られた地球が起こって火山を爆発させる。